Let's start with an uncomfortable truth. Many envision collapse as an event. A riot, a law, a broadcast. A clear divide between before and after. That belief is comforting, as it suggests a warning is possible. Yet thresholds don't work that way. A threshold is crossed subtly. No explosions, no grand announcements. One day the system acts as usual. The next, it acts similarly, but for a different reason. Once that reason shifts, reversal becomes structurally impossible. This pillar focuses on such moments, not hypotheticals, not distant futures, but transformations already in progress. Power has always depended on consent, even when pretending otherwise. Kings needed belief, empires needed compliance, corporations needed buyers, democracies needed active citizens. Consent was never purely ethical, it was practical. It lowered friction, it made governance cheaper than oppression. That was the arrangement. What shifts is not desire, but expense. When compliance becomes automated, via surveillance, predictive policing, algorithmic enforcement, financial pressure, and behavioral nudges, consent shifts from necessity to bonus. This marks the threshold. Legitimacy used to be crucial, as managing refusal was costly. Now, refusal can be isolated, deprioritized, downgraded, denied services, flagged, or quietly excluded, without confrontation. No tanks, no edicts, just the behavior of the system. At this juncture, consent isn't the foundation of power. It's merely an aesthetic preference, a branding exercise, a ritual upheld for stability, not necessity. The system still solicits assent, but no longer relies on it. And when power doesn't need consent, persuasion becomes unnecessary. Only calibration remains. Throughout history, humans were considered assets. They worked, consumed, reproduced, and paid taxes. Even when exploited, they held economic value. Even the worst systems needed bodies to function. This relationship imposed constraints. One cannot discard what they depend upon. AI disrupts this limitation. The moment automation surpasses human productivity and predictability, workers stop being inputs and become variables. Variables introduce risk. Risk necessitates management. This signals the second threshold. Individuals become costs, not contributors. Not unemployed, but irrelevant. The threat isn't job loss. Job loss is manageable. Countless generations have faced it. The real threat arises when large populations lack unique economic roles, but still need housing, healthcare, energy, food, and political support. At this juncture, the question shifts from how do we employ them to how do we minimize exposure? Welfare becomes containment. Education turns into pacification. Participation is rendered optional. Visibility becomes conditional. This isn't cruelty. It's mere accounting. Once humans are deemed liabilities, the rationale for reduction infiltrates the system, slowly, bureaucratically, and without malice. Capitalism once thrived on buyers. Production was meaningless without demand. Compensation mattered as it fueled consumption. Growth relied on circulation. That era is drawing to a close. Today, growth is increasingly detached from human purchasing power. It has become financialized, simulated, and self-referential. Assets inflate as others anticipate inflation. Demand is now forecasted rather than expressed. Markets trade on anticipation, not satisfaction. AI speeds up this detachment. Synthetic users evaluate products. Automated agents interact with one another. Attention is generated, measured, and recycled by systems that no longer require extensive human engagement. When consumption is simulated, the consumer becomes optional. This signifies the third threshold, growth without consumers. Once this is achieved, decreasing living standards lose their economic threat. Poverty doesn't destabilize markets, only optics do, and optics can be managed. At this point, the public transforms from a customer base into an environment, something to be monitored, not served. The economy continues, share prices rise, GDP stays intact. People simply matter less to it. Whenever this trajectory is discussed, one question arises: which jobs will endure? The answer is unsettling. The last jobs to vanish aren't the most skilled, ethical, or creative. They are the roles closest to power, enforcement, and system maintenance. Control positions, infrastructure oversight, narrative management, security, high-level technical stewardship. These roles persist because they mitigate risk, not because they generate value. But they also fail for the same reason as everything else does: concentration. As systems evolve, even these roles compress. Fewer operators, greater leverage, more automation overseeing automation. Eventually, systems need few humans, just a slender supervisory layer, itself precarious and replaceable. This marks the final threshold. Not widespread unemployment, not universal basic income, but the realization that no role holds durable leverage anymore. At this point, adaptation ceases. There's nothing left to retrain for. Thresholds aren't announced. They become normalized. Each change feels like an improvement, a reasonable adjustment, a technical enhancement. No solitary step appears tyrannical. No policy seems disastrous. But collectively, they depict a system that no longer requires people, only stability. And history shows no example of a ruling structure voluntarily maintaining dependence once it has escaped it. This emphasizes the importance of clarity. Not because panic is beneficial, it isn't. But because thresholds can't be debated once crossed. They can only be acknowledged or overlooked before that moment quietly passes. This is Pillar 1. The progression continues from here.